we have a very outstanding person doing a very outstanding tie. Everybody knows Bob. He is our membership chairman and our Boy Scout chairman and our hand-me-down fly fishing equipment procure guy.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff, but you're tying a great fly tonight. He tied the Gurgler, which I love, which has become my pretty much go-to topwater fly. I really fished it hard this year and I love it. It's ultimately my #1 topwater fly. So we got a little twist tonight.
Yeah.
And I won't steal your thunder.
Okay.
So Bob Charles.
Thank you. As Mark said, the Gurgler, basically the Gurgler is, a style of tying a topwater fly. And it was first created by Jack Gartside. Jack grew up in Boston and East Coast guy, and designed this fly relative for stripers and bluefish. And it was patterned after the jitterbug, which was Fred, Arborvest. And it's been popular. Basically, there's all kinds of variations for it, and very successful and pretty easy to tie. Now, I was looking at, about a year ago, getting into deer hair. Well, I tried a little bit of that, and as I get all over the house and stuff and get a little frustrated. So looking at a mouse, how do you tie a mouse that's not a deer hair, which is pretty standard. So I was looking around and this is a fly basically set up as a mouse pattern and pretty lightweight because went online and found that Paul Noble individual had used feathers for the underbody, which made it real nice and light. So that's what we're going to tie tonight. A lot of the flies that you find for mice are actually tied with, rabbit strips. And the rabbit strips, as the main body gets very heavy. So it's just another neat way to tie. And we're going to go ahead and tie it on a Mustang wide gap hook. There we go. And what do we got? That's a C52S BLN. And if you go try to find that in any of the fly tie places around here, you won't find it. So it's a wide gap. But actually, I got that from Amazon directly from Mustang. And they delivered it in 2 days.
I've had good luck finding oddball Mustang hooks at Feathercraft. They have a pretty good inventory, so it might be worth a call.
Yep.
And I got them in like 2 days.
Yeah.
Very reasonable price.
Yeah, like I said,
Max of 50.
yeah, like I said, these were direct from Mustang.
Sure.
And thread, brown or black, UTC 140, 210, relative to, getting a good wide thread, so you don't actually go through the foam.
If this isn't a super long tie, Bob, you want to tie one first and then we'll do it.
We can do that. Actually, I've got 2 ties for tonight,
Oh, okay.
so we can do it either way.
How do you want to do it?
How's everybody want to do it? You want?
I'd like to see it first.
All right. Well, then while I'm talking, we'll go ahead and do that.
Got no plans.
Got no plans. Good. So go ahead and get a good thread wrap. And what we're going to do first is work with putting a tail on. And what I've been using for a tail is the suede lace. And want to get the tail about somewhere about a full shank length and a half.
That's a craft store find.
That's a craft store find. Key lace, 1/8 inch suede lace.
Nice.
Go ahead and set that.
Who is that, Joe? Is that you?
Yeah.
Could you put that on sound?
I got it off. Shut it off.
No, just.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and get that tied in real tight. Okay. And what we're going to put on next is strung neck tackle.
Talk to us a little bit, Bob, about how you arrived at the proper feather for this application. I'm sure there's a multitude of options.
There's a multitude. Some of it was what I had in the box and what I could find, because a lot of places don't have the feathers. But what you want is a couple of different colors. So that's a brown, and this is a hackle brown with a little bit of color through it. So it gives it a little bit of a different contrast. Feathers all over the place here, right?
Fred would be proud.
Yeah.
If you have the title Fred, that's what his favorite is. How is this stuff?
We want to go ahead and tie in. And don't worry, we've got to tie in fully actual fur off the end. And tie in one. Going to tie in a total of 4 feathers. Got too much stuff here. There we go.
That's what was by the tip, it's on purpose.
Oh, thank you. No, that's good.
No, I was just gonna ask the same question.
It's kind of automatic to do that, right?
Yeah.
Pop them in the middle. So this is gonna be light as possible
Mm-hmm.
for casting, yeah, wind resistant.
Very wind resistant.
Yeah.
Have you tried anything else?
Yes. And we're going to go into that after we finish this. I've got another. Okay, so now we've got the 4 feathers tied in.
This way, right?
Probably really doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Piece of foam, 2 millimeter. And that stuff is, you can get it in sheets like this from the craft stores. About 25, 30 sheets, different colors for about $6.
Yep.
And then you can go and get the regular craft fur from a fly tying place with 2 small sheets for $2. Difference, very little difference. So go ahead and cut a slight angle on that so we can tie that in. Okay. Too many feathers. About a hook width back from that. And you want to kind of get about 4 or so groupings there. And then basically just bring your feather forward,
So you're doing that in open spiral.
open spiral. There's one color, 2 colors, and kind of, you know, as you come through, and go ahead and tie that one off. Next color. And just alternate the colors between, to get the contrast. And try to clip that off without hitting the thread. And you may want to pick it out a little bit to get all the feathers out. And then kind of bring everything down 2 sides. You're going to separate the top. Bring your foam forward. And go at about, like I said, about a hook eye width back. Go ahead and tie that in. And you get a couple wraps underneath to pick that up a little bit. Then pull back with the front, be just a little bit forward of the eye. And go ahead and tie in. At that point, you go ahead and secure and do a go ahead and secure right here. So the final bit would be making ears. And the best way might be to, what we're gonna do is cut a V right in the top. Almost like a Mickey Mouse ears. So a small V there. And there. Like so. Round off each end. A little bit there. A little bit there. What we have is a completed mouse. That's a pretty. No. But, and the nice thing is, of course, when you look at it from the bottom, I should have gotten a little bit more hair up here, but if you look at it from the bottom, like a trout, you can kind of see the profile of the mouse with the ears sticking out the side.
Well, I will tell you, the foundation that you built that on is a killer fly.
Yeah.
I fished it really hard this summer, and I love it. It's a killer there.
Yeah, it really is. And like I mentioned, there's a whole bunch of variations. One of them is right there, which is a cicada. So if we get the cicada hatch again, you know, here's a great imitation for that. And the nice thing is that, you know, of course, in that front part, as you bring that across, you know, that's the gurgler. You pull that, bring that in, that really makes a nice pop. Now in the mouse pattern, you don't want to gurgle as much. You want to bring it in a little bit slower because the mouse is swimming and you're not going to get that popping, but you want to get enough to attract the trout. Now, the one thing, I was online and here's another mouse pattern, which is tied from one piece of foam. And bear with me a minute. And that is the hantavirus mouse by Brent Smith. Came up with that. And what he came up with, he mentioned, is the tail being basically this bracelet material that you find in the craft store.
Is it leather?
It's not leather, it is rubber.
Oh.
And what he came up with, which was interesting talking to him, is that when you fish, this doesn't have a habit. Notice it? It won't catch on the hook. Won't follow. It still gives you the tail. So I found that afterwards, and I would consider that probably a better tail. If you look at a mouse tail, it's not much more than that anyway. Now the leather itself too, you know, is not as apt to catch either. So it's pretty good. And I haven't fished it as much, but I have cast it and floated it and checked the buoyancy. It's pretty good.
Obviously, with that hook, don't need to trim that.
No.
You've got to put it there with the
Yeah, you want to use that wide gap hook to really get the and so basically what you've got is, you know, the main body and a lightweight fly, which is the key.
You got enough of the feel where she lands the right way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, you know, you may want to cut the tail a little bit shorter.
Okay.
And so if you make it a little bit longer, it doesn't hurt. Okay. So I've got some. Yes.
I'm gonna put that soft light stuff on the tail, like put some out of that, sure, but with the front part of the tail rigid, is that possible?
Which the
What's that? You can go, you can do that. Yeah, just glue or whatever, yeah, just something to make the front part of the tail rigid, that,
you mean the leather piece?
the leather.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. But if you actually feel it, there's quite a bit of rigidity to it as it is.
I guarantee the first time I cast, I got
Yeah,
You're that guy. I'm that guy.
you're that guy.
There's two in here, right? Huh?
Pardon?
Two different.
There's two different flies in there. So I'm going to talk to you about how to take apart the flies.
Okay.
Okay. So if you notice, there are two flies in there. And one has the, what we just tied, stinger hook, the wide gap. The other has a small mustad hook like that. Go ahead and put that off to the side. Piece of tail, the rubber, put that off to the side. Piece of yarn. Go ahead and put that off to the side. And the rubber band kind of, and you should have a little small piece of rubber leg, and put that off to the side. So that's the second fly.
That's the dark foam.
And the dark foam, yep.
Okay.
Apologize, I wasn't gonna put them all in two different bags and separate them, but I figured we could talk our way through it.
Soldier on, Bob.
We're gonna tie the first fly that we just tied. Now, there is a rubber band in there. There have been some of the suggestions are to use that rubber band as a tail. So the rubber band becomes very lightweight. When I tied up one and tried it, rubber band seemed to really catch into the hook a lot easier than the leather. And once you get that set, go ahead and secure the leather tail. Usually I get a little bit of a downdraft. There's a little bit of a curve to it. So I put the curve going down. And yeah, and tighten that up real tight, right on the top, right on the top. Couple of wraps, and then bring that in tight and wrap that up real good. If you get a lot of tension on it, you'll notice that this actually sets the tail so the fly won't move as much.
What I like about this fly block is this is a place where you can use all those feathers that you've drawn. What am I gonna do with these feathers?
Oh, the bad, yeah, I mean, the bad feathers, you know, it doesn't matter. This is just kind of doesn't have to be the highest quality feather by any means. Once you've got that set, go ahead and wrap in your 4 feathers.
Have you tried doing more than one feather at a time, or does it just work better doing them
It
separately?
just works better doing them separately. And then the last slide, I picked a couple of short feathers. So what you want to get is long feathers, so you get the full wrap all the way forward. Get the foam. Get a small piece to tie in that foam.
You said what, a hook eye?
Yeah, about a hook eye. On the last one, I just tied the foam. There's another way of doing it, which would be lift the foam, do a couple of wraps. I'm changing a little bit. All set? And then run another wrap right about there. Come up underneath. And what we're doing is, instead of wrapping that foam real tight, we're setting up about 4 or 5 almost bubbles, segments. What this does is it increases the amount of flotation on the fly. And get right to right about where the bend of the hook starts to go down. You can see you want to pull up. And you want that right about there. And again, what we ended up with was 4 or 5 segments that way. And that increase, like I said, gives you more flotation. You're not squishing down the foam. We're all set? And next is just go ahead and bring your wraps forward through those same segments. And then start wrapping your feathers forward. And those segments actually gave you a place to actually wrap right around. And don't worry about it, because the key here is to get as much fiber in there and as much of a mess. You get a lot of fur. Once you get the first one, then go ahead with the second feather. and kind of push those out, get the set that in. And Mark, as you mentioned, trying to do them all four at the same time, it'd be tough. If you do it this way, you can go ahead and, kind of preen it and get, get a little more volume and not pinching down as much. Everybody set? Huh? Getting there with the feathers? Once you get the feathers there, kind of, you've got a brush, you can brush those out to get a little more volume. And if you do, that's fine. Kind of separate the top down each side. And since you can't put your fingers in your mouth, a little harder,
Get them a little wet.
get a little wet. Go ahead and bring that foam over the top. Get that secured.
Oh, about a eye away from the.
About an eye away from the eye. Now I'll run a couple of, once I've got that secured, I'll run a little bit of a head
In the front.
and a build in the front, just kind of take that front piece to kind of lift it. Once we're there,
Push it up.
gonna go ahead and bend back. And the front, or the nose, the mouse's nose is gonna be right about the hook, front of the hook eye or a little bit forward. And then go ahead and secure that down. And then go ahead and tie off. Usually what I'll do is turn it upside down so I can get a better angle at the whip finishing. Once you're set, then go ahead and make the ears. We get a little bit of a V cut.
Is there any kind of glue you should use on that to set it, because it melts this foam?
No, you can use
Cement or anything?
yeah. The next tie we're going to do is going to have this. The reason I haven't, this doesn't really need it. You notice this is pretty secure. If you feel it and try to rotate it, because of that tail, the leather tail on the bottom, it doesn't rotate that much. So you've got your ears, got a V, and then got a little bit off each end. And then the last one, I forgot the one other thing, is you want to make the his nose a little bit pointed. You want to take a little bit off each end of the front to give it a little bit of a pointed head, like so. And again, when you look at it from the fish's point of view, looks like a mouse. And the feathers underneath, the idea is that they're moving all the time. As you're bringing the fly in, they're moving like the bottom of the mouse and also the mouse's legs. And the nice thing about that, it's a quick.
Could you put that back up?
Yeah.
See how you did the front. Oh, okay, thank you.
Just a little bit. And the nice thing about this, it's a pretty quick tie. And, if you're out in the evening doing a mouse pattern, this, tie a bunch of them because a bunch of them are going to end up in trees.
Could you hold that up one more time, Rob?
Yeah.
Please hold it up. You clip the
Ears,
the front. No.
the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I didn't clip. Excuse me, that's the one I didn't clip on the last one. So I want to clip like
Okay, just
that
like okay.
and like that.
Okay. Thank you.
And as mentioned, Denny was talking about glue.
Mhm.
If you've actually, you got it nice and tight, it doesn't rotate too much. Now you could glue it as you go along, but then again, it's a little bit more time.
I just glued it after I put the tail on. And then
Yep.
on the bottom, that little
Locked it in.
The one we did a couple of years ago, it seemed like I put glue on mine right the front.
Mhm.
So push.
And if you've got everybody kind of finished,
Yeah. Love it.
Now get all the material from the other, huh?
Yeah, you're right, Bob. Probably gonna end up in the closest state.
Yeah. I've got another pattern if you want to tie another one. Which, huh? Hell yeah. Okay, you want me to tie it first or? Okay. Good.
Remember what we did last week? What we did is we tied one pattern that we had, what we had left over from the.
We did
had
that,
other
and I just hit the camera.
materials that we had left over, we
Yeah.
tied another slide.
As Bob said, you know, you put your, put my foot forward and hit the camera. Am I okay? I just got a shock. You just got a shock, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the ears?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you need to kind of foam them down and,
what it is, I went back and tied behind them.
I bet you I forgot to do that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, after I cut off my string, I went
Yeah.
back on and got another one. I think we just push them forward, it'll make enough noise.
So here's another simple pattern. I didn't have enough wide gap hooks when I put this together, but this is a Stinger number 2. Eagle Claw number 2. But it works. I would still use a wider gap hook. But this is, we can go ahead and tie on this. On this one, we're going to definitely use glue. We'll go ahead and start a thread wrap. And you should have a tail piece of rubber, which is really bracelet material. And go ahead and set that.
Did you say gluten-free?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah, gluten-free? Yeah,
And you're talking about the tail, you said it's gluten-free?
yeah, the other one was gluten-free. This one is not gluten-free. Matter of fact, I've been, like everybody else, been fighting the mice coming in the garage.
Out in the garage the other night, I was just sitting there with the door open, and all of a sudden, 2 possums come by.
Ah,
You want to know if there's a resident there in here, you know?
Mhm. And
Kind of good for this tail.
yeah, I really like this tail. You'll see. And we'll go ahead and take the thick foam, and this is 4mm foam. So you got to get a good heavy float out of this. And again, as I mentioned, there it is. So you get a piece of foam like that. What was it?
Yeah, they got it, yeah.
$1.49. So you get enough foam there to tie forever.
Get them at Walmart.
Mhm.
Michael's is more expensive. Dollar store.
So yeah, so get a good, go ahead and,
Now, do you make an underbody with this or tie it in with the tail?
we're gonna do another body like we did before. We'll go ahead and tie in the foam here, but right at the end, at the end. Notice?
Oh, you're not gonna tie it up at the end?
No, it gets right at the, right above the hook gap. Get that tied in, good and tight.
Did you do a point on it so to grip it?
Yeah, you do it at point so you can grip it down.
Okay.
So it not only grips, but it, it doesn't, it compresses. And you may want to get that secured. You notice that rotates quite a bit. A little bit of glue, super glue right there. Gonna let that sit. For the body, I'm gonna go ahead and use yarn. Again, this is Gopher Fox Sparkle Fur. And the nice thing about this, I was at the Hobby Lobby looking, and I came across this when Lanny was tying his fly. And you had a whole bunch, remember we were pulling stuff out? It was hard. This is pretty, try to pull it out. It stays secure. It's just a nylon. Let's see, this is 100% polyester.
With the fur coming towards the bend, right?
Huh?
With the,
Yeah. What I do is cut a little bit of fur off. Almost like, we do with rabbit.
yeah.
So you can go ahead and get a tie-in point. Go ahead and get that tied in.
Right under glue.
Yep, right on that glue. And bring your thread all the way forward. Again, about a hook eye. Back. And go ahead and wrap. You can see that you can wrap it close.
Oh, tight, you mean?
Yeah, just basically wrap forward. Kind of pull back. This stuff actually works, works real well as far as tying. Yeah.
What do you do on the water? Does it get knocky or?
Well, that was my next. This is a new, this was just this week, came up with this. And so I haven't hit the water yet with it.
I like the convenience.
Yeah,
It's gonna get knocky.
Hopefully the polyester will shed water pretty fast.
yeah.
And these ponds around here, are they fishable? Are they fishing them?
What's that?
The ponds around here,
Yeah.
are they fishable?
Oh, you mean the
Yeah.
school?
Yeah,
I don't know if we can fish on campus, but I know there's a lake just down, Lambert Road there, close to the road.
oh, you got little ponds in there?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then there's one the other direction too.
It's got bass and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Keith,
That
what's-
part,
so
Keith,
go ahead.
what's the name of that lake that we talked about? Keith,
It's, Fox Grove.
Okay. We'll get that tied off. And again, separate your fur. And on the head, make sure you're pushing it a little bit back. Off to the side. Then I'll run Loctite, super glue, right down the top. When you fold that over, Fold that over.
Like a red dot.
Yeah, get a couple of 2 or 3 wraps.
Are you pressing this down hard on the underbody?
Yeah, push it right down. Go ahead and lift. Actually, right now, you can probably get a couple more wraps on that. Now that the glue is set up.
Yeah, mine did too. That's because of the phone.
And I'll tie just a little.
I thought it was
And should have,
Oh, so we want to cut this off just to leave like a little.
yeah, I just cut a little bit off. I'm gonna cut it down a little bit tighter. I just cut a little bit because I was so long.
Sure.
And then got a piece of rubber leg. And what we're gonna do is off to each side. Let's see, you're gonna cut it in half. So you've got 2 legs. And we're gonna go ahead and set it right where the tie-in is to the head. And one on the other side. And then pull the legs back. So they're kind of, and do another wrap. So we wrap them so the legs are coming back. Not out to the side as much, but coming back toward the rear.
So how long of a flipper flapper do you like in front?
It should be right about main part of the body. So I cut it off right about
No, I mean
Here?
the lip.
the lip.
I'll just see what you can do.
Yeah, I'd cut it right about like that.
Okay.
And then there and there. And the last wrap to get it real tight on the head, you can actually put the Loctite right on the thread. If you put that on the thread and bring that around, that'll tighten right into the head itself. One thing I don't know if you know, if you touch Loctite, it turns white. If you don't touch it, it'll dry clear. You can see that little point on the top of the head, that's where I touched the Loctite. And it turns white.
Bob. Cool stuff. What is that stuff again?
This stuff?
That binding material? What, now, I assume that's made so one can crochet like a scarf or something?
Yeah, it's just a, what's it called? A Gopher Fox sparkle. So they're doing,
That's
neck
like
piece.
some plywood for like about $4.
That's, yeah, well, that was actually $6, but they were doing 30% off. But, if anybody wants some, take some of that.
We won't use that one.
I won't use that in a lifetime, but, it seems like it's a great thing. I actually got some whites also to use on
I
a
wonder
fly.
how it will take the market.
Well, I got the white to see how it takes a marker, number one, and provide a head on a fly.
Yeah, I can do like a
So I'll give that a try and then we can see how that works.
Very nice. Very nice job.
Okay.
Now, the first guy who uses it, tell us how that polyester stuff picks up water,
Yeah,
what it's like there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. There's a lot you can do.